Which brings us to another set that was completely not on my radar. I mean, honestly, Si,
God damn it, Si.
Psycho is amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Psycho 2, 3, and 4, I've never seen or ever really. I mean, as you write in your review, they were made a lot later. I just completely dismissed that. I read the review. I'm like, I need this set. I don't need the set. I've got the first movie.
You do need the set.
No, you do need the set. It's weird.
Don't.
At our last podcast, Tom said, "Oh, they're all pretty good, aren't they?" And we all sort of went, actually, it was pretty spot on. I mean, I've always had a soft spot for the second one. Third one's not quite so good, but the fourth one, for a TV film, very, yeah. So this is the set from Arrow that I received a month ago. I can't remember now, 3 weeks maybe. It's been reviewed and is on the early access for our star patrons. It's been up there for about 2 weeks now. So we were given 2, 3, and 4 discs. The first disc we weren't sent, and we're assuming that's because it's exactly the same as the Universal disc. It appears to be, but we don't know that because we haven't got it. So for those who want to know about that, most people probably have that one anyway. Psycho, you just say the word, everyone knows the film. Everyone knows who Norman Bates is. The portrayal of Norman Bates by Tony Perkins is out of this world. It coloured his career for the rest of his life, and he didn't want to be associated with that character, which is why it took something like 22, 23 years for the first sequel to come to fruition. Well, because although there were moves to make it, they kind of knew that they had to have Perkins, and he didn't want to get involved. It was only when things were happening behind the scenes and think, right, we're going to do this. And he kind of thought, well, maybe I should get involved again. It's been 22 years. Perhaps I should go and get involved. And then it was full steam ahead. He was involved and it was off. And of course, it had to be a very different film, didn't it? Because after 22 years, everyone knows Psycho, everyone knows the twist, everyone knows the character. So it had to be a very, very different film. And the way they managed to do that was because he's been released, and the questions posed by the film were how would he react to being released back into society, and how would the people that he hurt react to him being released in society. Of course, it doesn't go quite so deep into that because this is a horror film, so we're played on the fact that these people want to get him back into the asylum, so they. I don't know, can I say too much? They play with his emotions to try and get him to break, to turn him back into the titular Psycho. And they do very well of it. There's some fantastic chemistry between the two leads. Mary, I think her name is, and it works very, very well, despite there's some on behind the scenes tension between the two actors. The actual chemistry that they have, and it works really well. And Anthony Perkins is superb in the role. He is brilliant. You feel like they're treating him so badly because of what he is and what he became. So you kind of feel for the character, and then you get that end scene, and everything you thought, oh, he's they're not being fair to him, and then all of a sudden you think, oh, yes, they were. He needs to go back. He needs to go back right now because it's brilliant, and it ends on a bang, and it's fantastic, absolutely brilliant. It's not all about the ending, of course, much like Psycho isn't all about the ending. So a great film. The sound and transfer, the picture on that one is very, very good. Arrow have gone back to the original negative, scanned it in 4K. It's a native 4K release in the aspect ratio 1.35 to 1. And it looks spectacular. Grain is there. The colours are brilliant. It's natural looking. It's bright. It's dark when it needs to be. Black level's good. You can't really fault it. It's fantastic. Sound is what have they got on there? 5.1 and 2.0. That's right. I've got to think about this because it was weeks ago. and it's very good. Of the two, that's there wasn't too much between these actually. I quite like both of them, and depends on how you want to view the film. You know, 5'1" works well equally, as does the original soundtrack. That works as well. So there's not really much. It's whether or not you can live with the film wasn't shown with surround sound, but you have the option to watch it with surround sound. Yeah, so which is great. Yeah. So let's go to the second sequel, Psycho 3. Now, this was made 3 years afterwards, but it takes place about a month after the events. Okay, so Norman is now under the thrall of his deceased mother again, and he's back to his old ways. This film was directed by Perkins himself, and yeah, he's stylistically, it's pretty good. He's got some quite clever scene changes, and it's quite clever framing and blocking. Everything looks quite good. But because we're now the mid-'80s and we're the height of the slasher genre, it needed to do something to try and stand out. It couldn't live on the Psycho name alone, unfortunately, which is a shame because it really ought to have done. So they upped the boobs, they upped the blood, and it became far more exploitative, is that a word, than the second one, and indeed the third one, and far over the top compared to the first one. A lot of it works, a lot of it doesn't. It kind of almost cheapens the character and the way the film is presented. It's not a disaster. I think I give it a 6, something like that. There's a lot. It's got a lot going for it, but as part of how it fits into the hierarchy of the Psycho films, I think it's probably the lowest point. They try to explain a whole load of nonsense about his upbringing again, which didn't add anything to the character. In fact, it probably made it a little bit worse because they're trying to confuse the whole issue. You know, it was very simple in the first film. They tried to muddy it a bit in the second film to give motivation to the characters that were trying to put him back into the asylum. And then this third one, they thought, well, maybe we've made a mistake. Let's try and reverse it and put it back again. And that just made it all, oh dear, oh dear. So anyway, moving away from the story, let's go to the AV quality. So again, brand new scan from the original camera negative. This is deep and rich. Boy, oh boy, is this some vivid colouring. Really, really vivid colouring. It's almost a smack in the face. It's really quite good. Because the stylistic choice that he uses is a bit Argento in his lighting. There's loads of red, there's loads of blue, there's loads of purples, and they phase the screen in light. And it really comes through, and the transfer is fabulous, and the black level is great. So you've got a superb transfer there. Very, very happy with that. The grain is all intact. There's no nicks of the scan itself is beautiful. Yeah, very, very happy with that. Soundtracks 2.0 and a 5.1. Now, I didn't really get on with the 5.1 with this one. I thought it was a bit too heavy. Very, very loud track. Didn't really get on with it so much. Whereas the 2.0 track, I found much better balance. It was a much cleaner track to me. Those who like something really loud and bombastic may get more out of the 5.1. I just found that a bit too loud, a bit too garish, a bit too almost artificial. You know how some of those old tracks used to pump all the sound up to make it really bassy and heavy and good to listen to. It was a bit too much for my ears. I much preferred the 2.0 track on that one. So where are we now? We're on to Psycho 4. Now, Psycho 4 was made again 2-3 years later. Anthony Perkins was again involved, but this was a made-for-TV movie, which is a little bit odd because all the others were theatrical releases. So what does that mean in terms of the story? Well, essentially, what it come from the original screenwriter. He ignored the events of the first two sequels, 2 and 3, and just said this is a direct sequel to the first film. And on looking at it on that level, it kind of works. As a film, I quite liked it. It tells two stories. Anthony Perkins is talking to a radio station, telling the events of his childhood, which is we've heard about through the other films, and now we are shown exactly what happened. Not exactly what happened within reason, because we are a TV film. And I really like that. It was quite good. It's a bit Bates Motel, but done much shorter. Yeah, time constraints. It's only like a 90-minute film, so it's packing a hell of a lot in to the short runtime there. And the second part of the film is Anthony, what's his name, Norman. Is that a bit spoilery? He wants to kill again, okay, and that's why he rang the station, and they're trying to talk him out of killing whom he wants to kill, and he wants to do it, and so he takes the person he wants to kill back to his family home. And again, there's some terrific elements there. He is coming to terms with himself, the person he wants to kill, and his past, and all in one short space of time. Had it been a theatrical release, had they given it a little bit more time, I think that would have been the pinnacle of the Psycho franchise, because it was brilliantly done. In the end, it was a little bit rushed, or it felt a little bit rushed at least, and they just threw a firebomb and blew everything up, and that's kind of like a Thunderbirds ending.
If there really was a Thunderbirds ending.
There really was a Thunderbirds ending. Only one. So what have we got here? Okay, so now the limited release of this set, which we were privy to, was there are two versions of Psycho 4. There's the theatrical aspect ratio 1.78, and there's the TV ratio 1.33. Now, it was released theatrically, but not in America. Presumably we saw it in this country. We were certainly released in Europe in the 1.78 to 1, and that's what the director prefers. Now, to get to 1.78 to 1, they've cropped the 1.33. So instead of it being this wide, we go in a bit. So so you fill the screen by taking the top and bottom off. So that makes it slightly more intimate. Doesn't reduce the picture quality or the detail or anything like that. They're almost identical when you see them. Particularly when you see them back to back. The 4.3 may have slightly more detail, maybe a hair's more detail, because it doesn't have that cropping aspect. So you don't have the kind of zoom aspect. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Good.
Yeah, we're with you.
Yeah, good.
I mean, it did the same for Mask of the Phantasm.
Wasn't that open matte though?
It's 1.33. They envisaged it originally. Well,
yes,
we'll come into
we'll
that.
come to
but they cropped it to 1.7.
They cropped it to make So you lose a little bit of top and bottom. So it makes it slightly more intimate framing on the theatrical version, because you're really up close. It's filmed very close anyway, because you're trying to get the emotion out of the characters' faces as they're talking on the phone. Yeah. So in the 4.3, you've got a little bit more top and bottom, so they're looking like this. But when you zoom right in, you're right up close to them, and that can help. So it's difficult to say which is better, the 1.3 or the 1.78, because they've both got their pluses and minuses.
At least you've got the choice.
You've got the choice. That's it. But the picture again, stunning, absolutely brilliant. It's like it was made yesterday. If anything, it had a little bit more damage on the TV version, I guess, because that's been shown that much more. So the negative was probably slightly more damage than the 1.78. Speculation on my part. But colours were great. Again, bathing the screen in blues and reds and greens. It looks absolutely awesome. Very, very, very good picture. You couldn't fault any of the pictures on any of these on this set. Absolutely outstanding. Soundtrack is only a 2.0, and it's great. Absolutely brilliant. Superb stereo effects on that, on 4. Same track on both discs. Absolutely brilliant. And then you come to the extras package. Now, the extras package is immense, all on the 4K discs, of course. Far, far, far too many to list. Go and look into the review, and you can see. But each one has got a whole raft of extras. Most of them are legacy, but there's new stuff on there. There's new commentaries, new interviews, new features. I mean, my God, this set is absolutely outstanding. Who would have thought such a set would be worth the money? I don't know what to say. Brilliant. Absolutely worth it.
Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Excellent work, Mr. Crust.
God, between Bruce Lee and Psycho, it's just an expensive
Arrow
period of
smashing it.
time. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and also making people broke.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you really like this podcast, then buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/AVForums.